Hey there everybody, how you doing? I am Francis and welcome back to Quartz Party Blood Drive. Last episode we saw that old lady again from Book of Shadows, and I'm convinced that she is Makina, the person we were looking for, or rather the person of the house we were looking for. We also finished the first chapter, so we can move on to the next chapter. Which, well, this ain't like Book of Shadows where it tells us what it is, but hopefully we'll learn a few things. We'll learn what was in that box, why Ayumi had a death grip on those teeth, and also, who is this mysterious person that kind of looks kind of creepy? Chapter 1, Returning. Does this mean we're returning to Heavenly Host finally? Oh boy! A day had passed since the events at Shimmer and Jagu self-apartments. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. I apologize. Some of these names are really hard to pronounce. I'm trying my best, okay? This was to be a significant turning point for me, and Mishita might have been a part of it from the start. Except that fact seemed to have other plans for him. Miss Kuan, I have some pressing I need to get to, so if you'll excuse me. No, you sit back down, Satoshi. Your score on the algebra quiz yesterday was rather embarrassing, don't you think? Like an owner training a puppy, Kuan gave him a strong glare and held up her index finger in reprimand. For the next hour, I'm going to give you a personal lecture, and you're going to listen. And then the next quiz will be as... I didn't finish reading that. I didn't mean to push the button. My finger slipped. I apologize. But aren't you an English teacher? Isn't algebra a little outside your field of expertise? Yeah, he has a point there. Anything's possible if you put your mind to it. Tee-hee-hee. Like in that last chapter how I got you your lunch. She seemed a little taken aback by that remark, puffing up her cheeks like a chipmunk in protest. But Miss Kuan, it's startling how alike she and Miss Yoi are. Well, they had to pick somebody that's like Miss Yoi, you know, so that it doesn't feel like anything's changed, you know, except for, like, the faces are different. I'm sorry. Looking both bemused and guilty, Mishita tried to get up and leave his seat in one swift motion, but he was quickly and easily caught, lifted up, and forcefully sat back down. You're not going anywhere. Miss Kuan was smiling. She was actually enjoying this. Who or what am I dealing with here? Miss Kuan was only the slightest bit taller than Mishita. This did make her taller than the average, but her arms were small and frail. There seemed to be no way she could possibly have lifted someone of his build. Yeah, but she did. Looks can be deceiving. This whole situation was rather bewildering for him, and he made no attempt to hide his confusion. Now, let's begin, shall we? Yes, ma'am. He had no other option. Apparently, he was going to be studying algebra for the next hour, come hell or high water. Well, have fun with that, Satoshi. Meanwhile, we're gonna have a blast somewhere else, it looks like. At a local cafe near the school, Kishinuma and I were sitting down to speak with Aiko Niwa, the informant who led my friends to me the previous night. Are you alright? Does your stomach hurt? I responded with my dismissive gesture and continued to rub my abdomen with my other hand. Ever since the previous night, I had this constant unbearable urge to pee. What the hell is wrong with me? I mean, I know I got really scared and I hyperventilated, but can that affect my body like this? Did it change something in me? My bladder feels like it's fit to burst. So, where shall we begin? Aiko tilted her head and stared at me, looking me up and down, seemingly judging my every mannerism, my every movement. It was making me feel rather self-conscious. I covered my abdomen with both hands, as if guarding it from her gaze. Um, thank you very much for your help yesterday, sending your friends to find me. Or my friends, I mean. Oh, think nothing of it. My only regret that your friends couldn't get to you sooner. Kisaragi Academy is quite large, so it took me some time to track down Kishinuma and the others. Kishinuma and I stared at one another, still unsure how to feel about this strange new addition to our entourage. Ayumi, Kishinuma, you two are survivors from Heavenly Host Elementary. Are you not? Yes, we are. Why did the tone just change and the music with that tone? We'd pledged never to discuss Heavenly Host with anyone else, which we'd always assumed would be an easy promise to keep, but now, casually and out of the blue, here we were. Yeah, I wonder how she knew about this. We didn't tell a soul about it, which means, Ayumi's sister shouldn't know. How do you know about that? Well, you've been touched by the ever after. When people come into contact with the beyond, the color of their auras change to something otherworldly. Something I can see. Oh, that explains it. Okay. Both Kishinuma and I were speechless. I just sat there staring at my palm, subconsciously trying to see my aura. Aiko was smiling at us triumphantly. You said you were an intelligence agent, was it? For the supernatural? And you're friends of Naho? That's correct. I'm the one who tipped her off about Heavenly Host Elementary, in fact. So you could say, in a way, this is your fault as well. Because if, you didn't tell, Naho about it, she wouldn't have gone to the estate, she wouldn't have, written down incorrect directions on her blog, and Kibiki wouldn't have known about it and went there, which, set Naho off the deep end, put down wrong instructions to send more samples down there. The true source of the deaths and subsequent erasers that had turned our lives into a living nightmare was the Sachiko Ever After ritual posted on Naho's occult blog. Not blog. I can't read apparently. Leave me alone. I've been a fan of Naho's for quite some time, so when I saw that, I knew I had to try it out with my friends from Class 2-9. And as a result, half of those friends were now gone. Well, it's not exactly half, because there were 9 people. 5 people made it back. Although I guess you could say half because you weren't exactly friends with Yuka. She was only there and involved because somebody forgot his umbrella. I suppose you're aware that Naho was involved in supernatural investigations on behalf of one Mr. Kibiki. No? Oh, trust me, we know all about her and Kibiki. Trust me. I am, and I know she hasn't been seen since posting information on Sachiko Ever After. Yep, and we now know why. She dead. But for some reason, her memory was not erased like everyone else who died in Heavenly Host. Well, my business is of a similar nature. I gather data from spiritual hotspots and other supernatural locales, and sell that data to my clients for a fair profit. It's not always money though, mind you. Sometimes I'll do my dirty work in exchange for a particular spirit item that piques my interest. It all depends on whom I'm dealing with. I see. It's entirely give and take. They want my information, and I want their cash or other artifacts. Okay, so why are you hoping us then? Like, what are we promising you? We didn't make any deal with you. Physically, Aiko was a very attractive young lady, but personally wise, the jury was still out. Her words were calculated and emotionless. Her true intentions are a mystery. One could call me an information dealer, but I prefer the term intelligence agent, and Naho was a good customer. My info on Heavenly Host proved to be her last purchase. However, at the time, Naho was single-mindedly excited about Mr. Kibiki's work. She believed he could qualify for some award with the information I found for her. Say, could you tell me, was Naho there in the other world you found yourselves trapped in? Yeah, she was! And she's the reason Mr. Kibiki is no more. Naho died together with Mr. Kibiki. I looked down as I answered, despite everything she'd done. The memory of Naho's passing was still painful for me. Well, you saw her breathe out smoke and it's basically just poof into nothingness. She'd become one of Heavenly Host's lost souls and gone completely berserk in the end. I was the one who finished her off. I see. I assumed as much, how she, stopped posting and disappeared off the face of the planet. I have theories, like I said in Book of Shadows, as to how her memories are still alive. I think the reason, Miss Yor and the others, their memories were erased, it either had to do with losing a charm, or the fact that 5 of us that did the ritual with her, made it back. So I think since she did it with, Sayaka, if Sayaka made it back, there's a possibility that Naho would have been erased. But as we saw, both people that performed that, the ritual, with that charm, they both died. At least that's the theories that I have in my head. I could be very, very, very wrong. I'm just making assumptions right here. Aiko seemed completely unaffected by this revelation. Her tone remained even and her expression cold and distant. Yeah, she really doesn't feel anything, just like what I said about Yuya Kazami. Basically a wall, no emotions! Honestly, I'd had about enough of her by this point. She was so devoid of empathy. It was almost offensive. I was genuinely starting to get pissed off. And you're okay with that? I do feel sorry for her, don't get me wrong. But I had a strong feeling things would end this way. There's no point in lamenting that for which I was fully prepared. Kishinuma continued to stare intently at Aiko with his own brand of cold, emotionless eyes. He was oddly quiet. Though his anger was palpable, I clenched my fist. What about this girl? I believe she performed the ritual alongside Naho. Did you see her there as well? Aiko showed us a picture of a girl named Sayaka Uoi. I may have seen her corpse. I never saw her while she was alive. I mean, I played through her eyes, but the only person she ran into was also dead. Or rather dying, I mean. No, I can't say I've ever met her. I see. Aiko's expression was so unfaulting, you could carve it in stone. I couldn't take it anymore, I had to say something. If you're calling Naho your customer, I don't think you can really say you are her friend. My voice was breaking with rage, but even if that hadn't been the case, my face must have read like a book. This icy bitch may have had only one expression, but I sure didn't. Oh my, do you have something against that word? When I deal with my customers, I give them a guarantee of my utmost quality and dedicate myself to their satisfaction. Well, there's a difference between being a customer and being a friend. I've been a customer to many stores in my area. I can say that I'm not friends with anybody that works there. I barely know them. It's an unbreakable bond of trust, like one would have for a partner. And that's not always something you can say about friendship now, is it? I had no idea what to say. It seemed like Aiko was used to this sort of thing. Her response felt carefully rehearsed. I think she was asked this before, maybe. Like a sales pitch. Finally, Kishinuma broke his silence. Hey, I do want to thank you for helping us save Shinozaki yesterday. Really, I do. But spreading dangerous information just to pay the bills? How the hell can you sleep at night? Information is just that. Information. It's harmless on its own. There's no good or bad. It's like a tool. It's up to the recipient how it's used. Anything can be harmful in the wrong hands, after all. Why, that cup over there could be used to kill a man just as easy as any knife. The hell it could! That's bullshit, and you know it! Ayumi, do you agree? Aiko, I'm sorry, but I hate the way you think. I feel it's irresponsible. I agree. I have to agree with you, Ayumi. And her face, she probably has a different expression on her face. She went from, to, oh, I can't believe you say that! Her expression remained calm and collected overall, but her eyes blinked several times in rapid succession. It was the first outward sign of emotion we'd seen from her. Well, it took that much to finally get some emotion out of you. Well now, it seems I've come to be regarded as something of a villain here. I can't say this is new or unexpected, but it never ceases to be disheartening. Aiko quickly shrugged off her sudden outburst and was back to her usual icy self. It doesn't matter now anyway. We destroyed Heavenly Host. It's gone. Nah, you kinda didn't. Yeah, Amy doesn't believe that either. An awkward tension filled the air. Or at least our table. Alright, let's get down to business then. There's a reason I sought you out. Something I wanted to discuss with you. Aiko produced a thick, hardbound file folder from the light blue bag she brought with her. She opened it to reveal several documents of a questionable nature. Among them were what used to be a family tree, as well as numerous pages featuring black magic symbology or images that looked like tree branches. The hell is this? Black magic spell charts? And is that the Shinozaki family tree? When we see a family tree, we always assume it's a Shinozaki one. You may find what I'm about to tell you a bit shocking. Aiko was looking directly into my eyes now. Her gaze was fixed, intense, and unblinking. Okay, that's terrifying when someone's looking at you and they don't blink, like, at all. What Kishinuma said a moment ago is incorrect. Huh? What? What do you mean? Heavenly Host Elementary has not been destroyed. It still exists, even now. Huh? But how? Take a look at this. Oh, I remember her, alright. The girl missing her eye, Yuki, I believe her name was called. She was a big help last time when we were there. Aiko placed a black and white photo on a table. It wasn't the clearest of pictures, but there was no doubt that the location it depicted was Heavenly Host Elementary. In that picture, a small girl could be seen standing in one of those all too familiar hallways, holding a hatchet in her right hand. It's Heavenly Host. Where did this come from? We have confirmation then. It's a photograph I've taken. I didn't have the power to produce a clear image, but this is the current state within Heavenly Host. I don't understand. What am I looking at? What are you looking at? That's Yuki in a hallway. You know her name. You remember her name. Do you not? She is the one who showed you what happened to her, you remember? I can't even describe what was going through my head at that moment. I felt like I was about to burst. Aiko, however, remained calm as ever while recounting her story. Let's start at the beginning first. The red box from yesterday, after some time, I was able to open it, and I found the spirit items contained within. The box I found on Makina's futon. Inside, it were apparently 2 stones resembling Megatama, common-shaped ceremonial objects from Japanese antiquity. I can read, I swear. Also included in the box were several more roughly hewn stones, as well as a lining along the edges consisting of crumbled pieces of thin white paper. Unfortunately, most of the box's contents were broken or damaged. This pair, however, was still fully intact. They looked almost like a demented version of yin and yang symbols. Puzzle pieces that were clearly built to be slotted together. Aiko now held 1 stone in each hand and was motioning them toward one another, as if to drive that point home. Spirit items are, in the simplest terms, items which have been infused with the thoughts and feelings of the dead. Those who bear such objects will be visited by the spirits within them, or at the very least be forever privy to their memories and earthly laments. It's a wonderful thing. I may not quite look like the part, but I'm actually quite an avid collector of spiritual items. You know, I could assume that about you, like knowing the shitty business you're into. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot to say. We thought we destroyed Heavenly Host, but we didn't. Kishinuma and I briefly locked eyes again. We shared the same look of bewilderment. Aiko's personality was much more twisted than either of us had initially perceived it to be. I tried to get a fix on this little girl's thoughts, and in doing so, I heard a vengeful cry and saw an image of a girl with braided hair in an abandoned school building. Yeah, that's Yuki. We know about her. My curiosity has been piqued. I took out this camera. At this, she produced an old instant camera and placed it on the table in front of us. In trying to take a photo of the image in my mind, the result is that shot. This particular spirit item only allows me to produce images from the exact moment in time when the picture is taken. The past and future alike are beyond its reach. I examined the photograph in greater detail and a chill ran down my spine. There was absolutely no denying what it depicted. No. I was actually shaking. Without Sachiko Shinozaki, the school should have collapsed. It should have ceased to exist as soon as we escaped. Didn't Yuki tell you though that the school was building another Sachiko? Were you not paying attention, Iyumi? Cause I caught that little tidbit of information. I believe the collapse was halted. Perhaps right on the brink even. Maybe because of the person to whom that voice I heard belongs. Aiko motioned towards the photo in my hand. It could even be the girl in that picture. I wonder who she is. The answer was beginning to dawn on me. A sudden cold sensation exploded through my body, and I shuddered, as if trying to shake off the encroaching realization. God damn! You really think that hellhole is still around? Kishinamai leaned forward. The conversation was clearly beginning to engage him a lot more than it had been. Heavenly Host Elementary. Or rather, the dimensional space that took on the form of Heavenly Host Elementary fascinated me from the moment I introduced it to Naho. I began to research it independently and learned that its true identity is, well, something like a new Nirvana, another world, or a hereafter, an otherworldly plane of death, you could say. Though ordinarily, one tends to think of there being only this world and the next. A new Nirvana? That's correct. You know about Yoshi Shinozaki, do you not? Know about her? Oh boy, where do I start? And of her clinic, the Shinozaki estate, wherein the grimoire known as the Book of Shadows was located? Yep, we know about that building too. Yeah, my sister died there. Why? How could she know about that? A million thoughts, a million questions were running through my head. I was speechless. All I could do was sit there and hear her out. Oh boy. Hing! It was like a muffled scream or a moan of agony. The sound you make when you want to make a sound but are barely able to. Okay, what am I looking at right now? Who's Saiji? Hooray! That one was a little more forceful, accompanied by thrashing. It caused the nearby table light to fall over and roll along the ground. Oh, that's Yoshi, okay. Please, dear, come now. You need to stay calm. This was Yoshi Shinozaki's clinic, and Yoshi herself was on top of her husband, holding him down with both of her hands and continued the Shinto purification chant. To prevent Saiji from biting off his own tongue, he had been gagged with a towel. Needless to say, he wasn't looking particularly well. Oh, so that's what I'm looking at here, okay. Not too far from where this was occurring, Sachiko stood aghast, trembling as she watched the proceedings with hesitant, side-looking glances. I thought Sachiko had black hair. Why is her hair brown in this shot? Is it the lighting? Isn't Aji no Okami, who visits the underworld and beholds our foul spirits? Guide us to the cleansing waters of the Tachibana of the Odo no Ahagihara shores in the land of Tsukushi. I'm trying my best to pronounce these words. I'm butchering every single word. Japanese is not a language that I know at all. So I'm trying my best. Suji, still collapsed on the floor, was clearly suffering. His body was bent into a most unnatural shape, and he was fervently clawing at his neck. I beseech thee, in the name of the divine virtues of the gods gathered here, to wash away the sins we committed and the impurities that dwell within our minds and bodies. Hey! Stop it! You're hurting the devil inside me. Sachiko's father screamed through the gag, foam beginning to form out from the edges. He was going into cyanosis. Okay, that's creepy! I don't like that sound I hear in my ears. Ghostly images of Shinozaki women from ages past smiled down upon the event from the ceiling, laughing and mocking his suffering. Well, that's not very nice of them. Worse still, one of the women had traditionally blank teeth, giving their smiles an unintently sinister edge. The atmosphere within the room was heavy, as his spirits occupied every empty corner, dancing and flitting about freely and joyously. Saiji's body sharply bent and began convulsing. Come into this world, multitudinous Okami of Heredo, dear. Stay with me, dear. Ah! Miyoya, no Mitami! I beg of you, please do not take him! Her great-grandmother Sira, the head of the Shinozaki family, was among the black-teeth women, laughing joyously at Saiji's suffering. Daddy! Daddy! And he's dead. His voice began to weaken and his convulsion began to lose strength. Finally, the last spark of life had left his body. His eyes rolled back into his head and all movement ceased. Daddy, why aren't you breathing? Sachiko looked up, eyes glazed over with tears. Okay, so Sachiko actually did like her father, which makes me wonder, in those pictures in the Shinozaki estate, why was his face blacked out? Yoshi too was stricken with grief and despair. This is what it means to be a Shinozaki, to be part of the cursed bloodline. All men who marry in are guaranteed to die quickly. Not even Yoshi could circumvent that fate. Okay, then from Ayumi, I know that you love Yoshiki and he loves you. Please, you two never get married. So she turned to the forbidden book, an item she and her family had been protecting for generations from those who might misuse it. The Grimoire, the Book of Shadows. To lose a loved one was a fate she feared more than anything else, so she tried to offset it through black magic. It was an act of truly absurd foolishness. She must have cared for him so deeply, she would have literally done anything to see him again, no matter the cost of her own immortal soul. Aiko stared deeply into my eyes, seemingly fishing for a reaction up to her tale. But then, what happened next was almost beyond belief. I continued listening, unknowingly stroking the wound on my thigh as unpleasant memories of my foolishness run in with black magic resurfaced. The Shinozaki blood that flowed through Yoshi's veins was more powerful than anyone could have known. Its energy spawned something much different than what Yoshi intended. By which, of course, I mean... I instantly knew what she was going to say. From the book, she created a new Nirvana. So that's how Heavenly Host became. There, one could coexist with the dead for all eternity. It was a new dimension cut from another world itself, forcibly born onto the world of the living. Oh, there's the Book of Shadows! Yoshi must have lost half her sanity right there. She tried to leave her only child Sachiko in the real world, while living with her husband's soul in the new Nirvana. This story is telling us a different story from the one we knew in the original. The story we were told is that Yoshi loves Sachiko, and Sachiko would do anything for Yoshi, and the only reason that there was a curse and people and Heavenly Host became is because Yoshi died, and in her dying breath cursed the bloodline of the principal, And Sachiko saw these events and was murdered because the principal didn't want anyone to know. The land of corpses. However, this Nirvana had a mind of its own. Yoshi couldn't possibly control it, Shinozaki or no. I knew that all too well. Just like Yoshi, I'd experienced my own tragic failure of black magic at the Shinozaki clinic. Also, I thought it was the ghost children that was holding the closed spaces together. Because the closed spaces, combined into one when we gave the children their tongues, right? Why is this game changing the story? I don't know what to believe and what to forget from the original. Black magic had its own blowback of sorts. Her husband's soul was split apart and scattered in all dimensions. And Yoshi's life too was on the verge of being snuffed out. She knew she made a mistake. She deeply regretted it, and as she took what she could have only assumed to be her dying breath, her soul daughter Sachiko, in possession of a nearly limitless spiritual potential, absorbed the entirety of this new Nirvana into her body. Sachiko? The poor girl collapsed to the floor, violently thrashing a bow as the weight of an entire dimension crushed her from the inside. This action had saved her mother's life, certainly, but death would have surely been preferable. Picking herself up, Yoshi rushed to her daughter's side in tears. Sachiko? Sachi, why? Mommy, don't die! Mommy! Both parent and child were bawling. Pain mixing with relief, mixing with pain again. The little girl buried her face into Yoshi's bosom and just cried and cried. Yoshi grasped her tightly in both arms, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. By this point, Sachiko's body had begun producing a dark blue aura. I'm sorry, Sachi. I'm so sorry. Mommy was wrong. Mommy has you, so from now on, Mommy will never leave you. She'll never even think of leaving you again. As you know, Sachiko is a direct descendant of the Shinozaki line, a thoroughbreed. This means her power is greater than Yoshi's. It had to be, of course, for her to house an entire dimension within her body. Aiko took a big noisy sip from her coffee mug. At the time, she must have been the strongest practitioner of dark arts in all the world, little girl or no. Yet, despite that, she wound up dying. That's right. The same day Yoshi fell and died. She did not fall and die. The principal raped and murdered her. Well, I mean, it was an accident. Yeah, she did fall, which did kill her, yes. Sachiko disappeared. She did disappear. She was murdered too. That was 50 years ago. They were both killed by the principal. Just as I suspected. Okay, so they're not changing the story after all. Okay, I was concerned about that. The principal's heinous actions are to blame for resurrecting a new Nirvana within Sachiko and creating the closed spaces we know as Heavenly Host Elementary. So that's the truth behind how Heavenly Host was created. It's probably because the school was the site of Sachiko's violent demise that her Nirvana took on its form. Yet even then, with Sachiko reborn as a spirit in that realm, she was still all-powerful, seemingly continuing to exert complete control over it. I guess that's why she was able to manifest so many different horrible things in there. This was all starting to make a sick sort of sense. The pieces were falling into place, and painting an absolutely awful picture. I shuddered to myself as I considered it. When you escaped, you removed Sachiko from the equation, but the Nirvana remained, and is going berserk once more. It should have just disappeared. This world would be better off without it. This entire conversation was a roller coaster of emotions for me. At this point, I was just angry. Angry at everyone involved in this whole ordeal, myself included. Now then, if I may, I'd like to discuss something a bit outlandish with you. I don't like where this is going. Okay. Would you like to see your dead friends again? If you mean see their dead bodies, no! That certainly got our attention. We both perked our heads up immediately. Spirits that have died in the Nirvana are said to roam its grounds, trapped and unable to find rest. As such, your friends' souls may still exist on that plane. I see. There are actually a number of useful magics listed in the Book of Shadows. Aside from the spell Yoshi used to create the new Nirvana, there's also a spell of revival. We tried that spell of revival. It brought Suzumoto back, but she immediately collapsed to the ground, had no face, and we almost died as a result. Nakashima and I knew about that one as well. Yep, yeah, that's the one we tried. Forcefully returning a life to this plane is, of course, dreadfully taboo, as it's considered an affront to the will of God by virtually all religious organizations. Eh? Kishinuma seemed a bit more confused than he probably should have been, though I suspect the look on my face may have had something to do with that. Well, I would expect him to be confused. He wasn't there with us when we performed that, ritual trying to bring back our friends, I performed that spell, the very one Aiko was describing. It took hours, failed miserably, and killed my sister. All at once. The guilt returned. I lowered my head solemnly. Aiko grinned at me, and I had this sinking suspicion it was because she somehow knew what I was thinking. Though I couldn't be sure, and I certainly didn't know how she would. Still, who cares about bullshit like that, right? You can be blasphemous. You can break every commandment. Bring it on! You'll do whatever it takes to resurrect your dead friends, will you not? All you have to do is find that book and cast that spell once more within Heavenly Host Elementary. Your chances of success will be much, much higher there, don't you think? No! Our chances of dying there are even more greater. I'm not gonna have someone to save my ass again. Hold on, do you have any idea what you're saying? What happens if things get even worse? I didn't exactly mean to interrupt Kishinuma, but quite honestly, I didn't even realize he was talking. I was too focused on what Aiko had just said. You know about it, don't you? Our failed attempt at Yoshi's place? Me and Nakashima? Aiko tilted her head at me, the same wry smiling creeping across her face. She gone from cold and emotionless to knowing and expressive in a mere instant. I don't think we really believed what was happening to us. It was like a dream. What we saw was impossible. What we experienced was impossible. I thought I was going insane. What about the fact that your sister is dead, though? It shouldn't have been possible. We shouldn't have done it. I want to put all of this behind me. But it was real. Aiko pointed to the scar on my neck, then went one step further and lightly brushed it with her hand. Eee, that's kind of creepy. Do not be. I don't like it when people go into my neck and are like, like that. Creepy. No. I could feel that touch deep within my soul. I suddenly found myself swallowing my next breath, practically choking on thin air. Yikes. See? You came in contact with something ordinary people could never even imagine. Do you really think you can just turn tail and run from that now? Yes! Thanks to my sister, I can! I looked down again, trying my best to avoid Aiko's gaze. Sheesh. Do you really think I can do it? When had I started crying? I raised my head again, intent upon looking deep into Aiko's eyes as she answered my question. But she looked so blurry through my tears. Alright, so we get that Heavenly Host still exists, but if the Satsuko term does not work, how is one going to get back to Heavenly Host? I could tell, though, that she was smiling at me. It was the same expression. Her new standard. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Can you be more specific? Can I really? Yes. What is it? I want to hear you say it. What exactly is it that you wish to accomplish? Can I bring everybody back? Nicely done! Aiko patted my head, as one might a dog after a successfully performed trick. I'm not a dog, I'm a person. What the Grimoire produces are miracles spawned from the wisdom of the witches, and these miracles hold the power to bend fate. Even if that fate is set in stone, so to speak. You are a descendant of the House of Shinozaki, a family of immensely powerful practitioners of magic. And since Hino is no longer with us, this is something only you and you alone can do. My confidence was being bolstered by every moment, though in retrospect, that was likely Aiko's aim. Nonetheless, if there were still something I could do for my friends, I'll do it. But wait, I don't even know where the Book of Shadows is anymore. Plus, you're no longer able to travel the Heavenly Host by way of the Sachiko in the Ever After ritual. Now that Sachiko is gone, correct? Exactly! Yeah, that's right. That's what Yuki said anyway. Yuki Kano, a girl from the school. The girl in the picture. At least we remember her name, apparently. But don't remember what she looks like. Hehe. Aiko once again placed the bluish white Megatema stones from the box in either hand, this time fitting them together. Though not quite the way they were supposed to interlock. That's where these come in. Oh, they're the gateway, aren't they? Put them together, we go back to Heavenly Host, right? What are they? They host an exceptional amount of spiritual energy, as one would expect, given that they're spirit items from the Shinozaki line. The voice I heard told me about them. They're called Ever After Stones. Ever After Stones? I leaned forward despite myself. The name sent a shiver down my spine, but now that I heard it, I had to know more. These two are one. Fit them together like puzzle pieces and chant Nirvana, I summon the dead. And all who are in direct or indirect contact with them will be spirited away. We both flinched at her chant, but Aiko just smiled. She must have intentionally oriented the stones the wrong way so the charm wouldn't activate. It's the same when you return. She tossed the stone she'd been holding in her right hand into her left, where it quacked together with the other. Strange, isn't it? This girl taught me the technique herself. Aiko gazed longevity at the stones. She was currently utterly enamored by them. It seemed as if they were key factors in unleashing her newfound emotional expressiveness. Wow! But my focus was elsewhere. Without a doubt, the items Aiko now held in her left hand were extraordinary and dangerous. Possibly the most dangerous, horrific objects in the entire world. However, while Aiko was ogling them with her left hand, her right was feeling around for something in her breast pocket. She slowly removed it, producing an old black and white photograph. When she had taken that, it was the same photograph I seen at Makina Shinozaki's house the previous night. A young Yoshi alongside her mother and Makina. While Yoshi was in her teens, she adored her Aunt Makina and would often go over to her place for a visit. The Shinozaki family were world famous for their spiritual abilities, and this was when it all started. So Makina had these stones. Is that how she was able to, that's how she was able to go, leave the spiritual realm and tell Miss Yoi, don't go to Heavenly Host? The surviving elder of the Yogonian Society felt it was too dangerous to leave these items with the Martubas, so he came here intending to steal the Book of Shadows away from them. But he felt it would be even more dangerous for the book and stones to remain together, so while he gave the book to Yoshi for safekeeping, he gave the stones to Makina. I see. Yagura Society, Martubas. I never heard those terms before at all. And then there was that damn Book of Shadows again. Why they had to keep bringing it up? How come the Book of Shadows is mentioned more in Blood Drive than it was in, well, the game that was called Book of Shadows? You remove Sachiko Shinozaki from that school, and in doing so, you create the perfect storm of opportunity. Two-way travel to and from that dimension is now possible. It's no longer a one-way road, a new spiritual hotspot. Something not of this world has been born. She thrust the ever-after stones toward me triumphantly and continued to make her pitch, growing more excited by the second. I was legitimately speechless. What could I say? What could I say to this? Don't you see? That place is a gold mine now. People can no longer claim the world of spirits is fake, or that spiritual investigators like myself are lying. It's all different now. Occult research can be legitimized. I'm even considering bringing people to that cursed dimension on tour if I can, to make a little extra cash. No, don't do that. Sachiko may not be there anymore, but the other spirits of the dam still are. This bitch be crazy! Kishinuma and I both reacted to this preposterous suggestion with a start. She couldn't possibly be serious. Could she? I think she is serious. She doesn't seem like that type of person that would be kidding. I deleted the proxy doll data from Naho's blog, so no one will be able to jump that way anymore. Only I possess the means to enter that place now. What could she possibly have been thinking? I wanted to stop her at once. I wanted to take those stones and break them, right there on the spot before anyone else got hurt. But I thought about it. When I began conducting these tours, however, I wanted to make customer safety my top priority. And how are you going to do that in a cursed building where people go to die? And you seek your friend's spirits, do you not? Well, reinvestigating that dimension could help you reach that goal. Our destinations are the same, Ayumi. Aiko leaned in as she spoke, her breath scented with the sugary sweetness of the desserts we've been eating. Tickled my nose. So what do you say? Let's go back to Heavenly Host Elementary together. One more time, shall we? What do you say? I really wanted to conduct tours using the paper dolls, but missed my chance. Now though, I have these lovely stones. I feel this must be fate, and I can make a business out of it. Aiko seemed like she was on top of the world. Why would you want to perform tours, by the way, with the dolls? You do realize that you and everybody else that you take with you will never be able to come back, right? We only came back because we were able to appease Sachiko. But that just made me all the more disgusted with her. So how about it? On the other hand, she was offering me a chance to save our lost friends. And however remote that chance may have been, it stacked the odds in her favor. I still couldn't just say yes, but I couldn't exactly say no either. Honestly, I resented Aiko for putting me in this position. I glared at her for a moment before I said anything. I can't answer that right now. Give me some time to think it over, okay? I almost forgot Kishinuma was there. You know, I did too, honestly. He spent most of his time saying nothing and just not being important. Sudden waves of guilt washed over me. He had an absolutely egregious look on his face. I couldn't bear to see it, so I looked away. We don't know where the Book of Shells is anyway, plus, how do we know those stones can actually do what you say they can? There's no way you could have already tried it, right? Aiko smiled. She oriented the two stones as they formed a perfect yin-yang symbol, then slapped them together once again. Immediately, the stones began glowing with a bluish-white hue, and a stream of energy started to form around her. Oh boy, she's gonna show it. You gotta be kidding me. Aiko continued smiling and looked directly into my eyes. Hehe, no need to decide now. Think it over. Yes, it's true. The full range of these stones' powers has yet to be tested. So, their true danger is, as of yet, undetermined. She slowly separated the two stones as she said this, and the energy surrounding her dissipated. Wow! But they're from the home of Makina Shinozaki, a prominent branch of the Shinozaki tree. Their authenticity and the credibility of my intelligence is hard to dispute. Yeah, Yoshi did have them, and she was a survival of that cursed school, remember? Hell of a thing. Can I see them? Kishinuma didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed the ever-after stones from Aiko's hands and began examining them carefully. Hard to believe this is what was in the box. You weren't planning on keeping these stones all to yourself, were you? Aiko seemed taken aback by the question. Way to go, Kishinuma, you managed to catch her off guard. Half the credit for finding them is due to Shinozaki risking her skin after all. Aiko seemed to ponder these words for a moment. Hehe, well then, let's make sure neither of us can go by ourselves. We'll each keep one of the 2 stones. That's where I figured this was going. Alright, give me one, Kishinuma. Sure thing. Kishinuma plonked one of the stones in my hand, then slipped the other back into the drawstring pouch Aiko had brought them in, and closed it up. There! He then casually handed the pouch back to its rightful owner. Feel free to give me a call anytime you like. And don't worry, I'll even help you find the Book of Shadows. Free of charge! Well, I figured we weren't doing this for cash, because I know she always does something for something in return, but what she wants to do is, go to Heavenly Host and basically turn that into a tourist attraction. Aiko flashed us with the biggest, most egregious smile I think I've ever seen. And when we do find it, you will go with me, won't you, Ayumi? Again, I can't answer that right now. I closed my eyes and gave something like a half-hearted half nod, lowering my head without raising it again. It was interpreted as a yes, but I'm not sure I meant it that way. Good. That being the case, it's on me today. Aiko got up and grabbed the check. No, I'll pay for mine. I took out my wallet. I had no desire to owe this person anything. Aiko just smiled. That it is then, hee. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I'd like you to have this. Aiko handed over a photograph of me. Or to me, not of me. Now, it's not going to bite you. And I'm not asking any money for it, so please, just take it with my blessing. Well, okay then!